Hello guys, how are you? My name is Professor Aftab Khan, and I'm teaching you advanced international management. And we discussed so many things before, and in the continuation of those lectures, actually, this is our week number 14. Okay, and this is our revision week, and after week number 14 you guys have your final examination, which is based on your final assignments, okay, which I already submitted to you in the past. Okay, so because this is a revision week, so definitely we revise our revision what we discussed in our 13 weeks before, because this is week number 14. And yes, we revise our chapters in this week, because this is our last week, and after this week you guys have your final exam, and your final exam is based on your final assignments, which I already give submitted to you. Okay, so now I start my revision lecture. In the revision lecture in this course, we discussed that international business or advanced international management basically refers to the goods and services and technology, capital and knowledge across national borders and at a global or transnational scale. These things which we gonna discuss in the past, and it involves cross-border transactions of goods and services between two or more countries. It has the transactions of economic resources, including capital, skills, and people, for the purpose of the international products, for the goods and services, for the physical goods and services, such as finance, banking, insurance, construction. And international business is also known as advanced international management, is also known as globalization. Okay, so to conduct a business overseas, multinational companies need to bridge separate national markets into one global marketplace. So there are two macro scale factors that underline the trends of greater globalization. The first consists of eliminating barriers to make cross-border trade easier. For example, free flow of goods and services and capital, referred to as free trade. The second is a technological change, particularly developments in communication, information processing, and transportation technologies. So basically, in the overview, we discussed in this chapter that in this course that the advanced international management is also defined as the study of the internationalization process of multinational enterprises, MNCs and MNEs. So what are the MNCs and what are the MNEs? We already discussed it in the past. For example, MNEs means multinational enterprises. So it is a company that has a worldwide approach to markets, productions, and or operations in several countries. Well-known MNEs including fast food companies, like for example McDonald's, KFC, Starbucks. Okay, and in the industrial sector, we can say Microsoft, General Motors, LG, ExxonMobil, British Petroleum, and vice versa, etc., etc. Okay, so basically, multinational enterprises range from any kind of business activity or market, from consumer goods to machinery manufacture. A company can become an international business. Therefore, to conduct business overseas, companies should be aware of all factors that might affect any business activities, including but not limited to difference in legal systems, political systems, economic policy, language, accounting standards, labor standards, living standards, environmental standards, local culture, corporate culture, foreign exchange markets, tariff imports we discussed, and import and exports regulations we already discussed in the past, trade agreements, climate and education, and many things. These are the things which we're going to discuss in previous lessons. So basically, each of these factors may require changes in how companies operate from one country to another. So each factor makes a difference and a connection. So one of the first scholars to engage in developing a theory of multinational companies was Canadian economist, which was known as Heimer. Stephen Heimer was a Canadian economist, and he described the foreign direct investment, which we already discussed, which is known as the FDI, and why firms become multinational. So there are three phases of internationalization according to Heimer's work. The first phase of Heimer's work was his dissertation in 1960s that called the international operations of national firms. In this thesis, that the author departs from new classical theory and opens up a new area of international production. At first, Heimer started analyzing new classical theory and we can say this financial investments, where the main reason of capital movement is the difference in interest rates. After the analysis, Heimer analyzed the characteristics of foreign investment by large companies of production for production and direct business purposes, calling the foreign direct investment FDIs. So by analyzing the two types of investments, the main distinguishing features was control. Portfolio investment is a more passive approach, and the main purpose is financial gain. Whereas in the foreign direct investment, a firm has control over the operations abroad. So the traditional theory of investment based on differential interest rates does not explain the motivations of the FDI. According to the Heimer, there are the two main determinants of FDI, where an imperfect market structure is the key element. The first is the firm specific advantages, which are developed at the specific company's home country and probably used in the foreign country. The second determinant is the removal of control, where Heimer wrote, when firms are interconnected, they compete in selling in the same market, or one of the firms may sell to the other, and because of this it may be profitable to substitute centralized decision making for the decentralized decision making. Okay, so basically Heimer's second phase is in his New Classical article in 1968, which we already discussed in the past, that it includes a theory of internationalization and explains the direction of growth of the international expansions of firms. In the larger stage, Heimer went to more Marxist approach, where he explains that the MNCs as agents of an international capitalist system causing conflict and contradictions. So it causing, among other things, that which are in the inequality and poverty in the world. Heimer is the father of the theory of, we can say this, that MNCs, which are known as the multinational enterprises, and explains the motivations for companies doing business abroad. So among modern economic theories of multinationals and foreign direct investments are internationalization theory, and we can say this, that we already discussed these things in the past chapters, in the past weeks. Okay, we also discussed this, that the physical and the social factor of competitive business and social environment. So what are the physical and the social factors of competitive business and social environment? So the conduction of international operations depends on a company's objective and the means with which they carry them out. The operations are affected by the physical and societal factors and the competitive environment. So in the operation factors, all firms that want to go international have one common goal: the desire to increase their respective economic values when engaging in the international trade transactions. To accomplish this goal, each firm must develop its individual strategy and approach to maximize value, lower cost, and increasing the profit. We can say this, that all businesses of the world has only one common goal, and that is known as profit maximization. That is known as revenue maximization. How to increase their profit. This is the only story of every business. How to increase their revenue. This is the only motive of any business in the world. So profit maximization and revenue maximization, this is the only thing in the world. So lower cost and profit values and increased profits, the firms value creation is the difference between V, the value of the product being sold, and C, the cost of the production per each product sold. So the value creation can be categorized as primary activities, research and development, production, marketing and sales, customer services, and as support activities, information systems, logistics, and human resources. So basically, all of these activities must be managed effectively and be consistent with the firm's strategy. However, the success of firms that extend international depends on the goods or services sold and on the firm's core competencies. Okay, so skills within the firm that competitors cannot made easy. We can say this: for a firm to be successful, the firm's strategy must be consistent with the environment in which the firm operates. So therefore, we can say this, that in the settings in which they are operating and the strategy they are pursuing. So once a firm decides to enter a foreign market, it must decide on a mode of entry. So there are 6 different modes to enter a foreign market, and each mode has pros and cons. So that are associated with it. The firm must decide which mode is appropriately aligned and with the company's goals and objectives. So there are 6 different modes of entry for our exporting. For example, turnkey projects. Turnkey project is a fundamental rule which we already discussed in the past. Licensing, franchising, joint venture, and wholly owned subsidiaries in the host countries. But the first entry mode is a exporting thing. That exporting is a sale of a product in a, we can say this, that in a different national market that then a centralized hub of manufacturing. So in this way, a firm may realize a substantial scale of economies from its global sales revenue. As an example, many Japanese automakers made inroad to the US market through exporting. There are 2 primary advantages to exporting: avoiding high cost of establishing manufacturing in the host cost, where these are higher, and gaining an experience curve. There are some possible disadvantages to exporting are high transport costs and high tariff barriers. So the second entry mode is the turnkey project. In a turnkey project, an independent contractor is hired by the company to oversee all of the preparations of entering a foreign market. So once the preparation is complete and the end of the contract is reached, the plant is turned over to the company is fully ready by operation. Okay, so these are the things which we gonna discuss in the previous weeks. We already discussed in the previous week regarding licensing and franchising, which are the 2 additional entry modes that are similar in operations. Okay, so licensing allows the licensor to grant the rights to an intangible property, which we already discussed in the past, to the licensee for a specified period of time for a royalty fee. Okay, so franchising, on the other hand, is a specialized form of licensing in which the franchisor sells the intangible property to the franchisee and also requires the franchisee operates as dictated by the franchisor. Okay, so lastly, a joint venture and wholly owned subsidiary are 2 more entry modes in international business. Okay, and we can say this, that a joint venture or wholly owned subsidiary are 2 entry modes in the international business. And a joint venture, we already discussed that what is a joint venture is, that when a firm created a jointly owned by 2 or more companies, mostly joint ventures are 50-50 partnership. This is in contrast with a wholly owned subsidiary, when a firm owns 100% of the stock of a company in a foreign market, because it has either set up a new operation or acquires an established firm in the country. So types of operations: basically exports and imports, service exports, merchandise exports, goods exported not included services. Merchandise imports, the physical goods or product that is imported into the respective countries import products or goods that their country lacks in. For example, an example of this is that Colombia. For example, we discussed an example of Colombian cars. Okay, so there is no Colombian car plant, and they are making a Japanese brand which is known as the Toyota, and they are making that brand in their country, and that is illegal. And normally this kind of business is not allowed in any country because of the international copyright licensing matters. Okay, so these were the things which we gonna discuss. These are the things which we had discussed in the past. Okay, so service export as of 2018, the fastest growing export sector. The majority of the companies create a product that requires installation, repairs, and the troubleshooting. Service exports is simply a resident of one country providing a service to another country, and vice versa. A cloud software, which we already discussed in the past regarding platform used by people or companies outside home country. Tourism and transportation, service performance, asset value, asset use, exports and imports of products, goods or services are usually a country's most important international economic transactions. These are the things which we gonna discuss in the past. Top imports. Who are the top importers and exporters in the world? Yes, obviously United States is the top exporter, and then Japan, and then Germany, France, and United Kingdom. South Korea also comes on the seventh side, seven top exporting countries of the world. These are the things which we're gonna discuss in the past and in the past chapters. So, choice of entry mode in international business, a strategic variable affect the choice of entry mode of multinational corporations, expansions beyond their domestic markets. These variables are global concentration, global synergies, and global strategic motivations of MNCs. Okay, so the global concentration, we discussed in the global concentration about MNEs, which are the multinational enterprises. It shares and overlap markets with a limited number of other corporations in the same industry. So the global synergies, the reuse or sharing of resources by a corporation, and may include market developments or other inputs that can be used in multiple markets. This includes among other things, brand name recognitions. So the global strategic motivations, other factors beyond entry mode, that are the basic reasons for for corporate expansions into an additional market. These are the strategic reasons that may include establishing a foreign outpost for expansion, developing sourcing sites, among other strategic reasons, and vice versa. So the means of businesses: entry, exports, export, import, wholly owned subsidiary, mergers and acquisitions, alliances and joint ventures, licensing, mods, importing and exporting, tourism and transportation, licensing and franchising, turnkey operations, management contracts, direct investment and portfolio investments. So these are the modes of the businesses which we are already gonna discuss in the past. We discussed some functions, for example, marketing functions, global manufacturing, supply chain management, accounting, finance, and human resources factors. We already discussed these things, like for example, overlaying alternatives, choice of countries, organization and control mechanism, and vice versa. So the physical and social factors, in the physical and social factors we discussed regarding geographical influences, okay, social factors, legal policies, behavioral factors, and economic forces. So these are the things which we're gonna discuss in the past. So there are many different geographical factors that are affected in the international businesses. So these factors are the geographical size, the climatic challenges which happens throughout the world, the natural, we can say, these resources available on a specific territory, the population distribution in a country, etc. Social factors which we already discussed in the past, like for example, political policies, political disputes, particularly those that result in the military confrontation, can disrupt trade and investment. We already discussed legal policies. For example, domestic and international laws play a big role in determining how a company can operate overseas. Behavioral factors in a foreign environment, that related disciplines such as anthropology, psychology, and sociology are helpful for the managers to get a better understanding of value attributes and beliefs. So these are the things which we're gonna discuss in the past. We already discussed economic forces, for example, which explains economic countries' differences in cost, currency values, and market size, etc., etc. So these are the things which we've already discussed. We discussed some risk factors, for example, faulty plannings, operational risk. So what are the faulty planning to achieve success in the penetration or a market, a foreign market, and remaining profitable efforts that which must be directed towards the planning and execution of phase 1, the use of conventional SWOT analysis. Well, what are the SWOT analysis? Strength, S for strength, W for weakness, O for opportunities, T for threats. The strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. These are the four key things, that the four key analysis, market research and cultural research, which give a firm appropriate tools to reduce the risk of failure abroad. So risks that arise from poor planning include large expenses in the market, administration and product. We can say this, that development with no sale, the disadvantages which derive from local or federal laws of a foreign country, lack of popularity because of a saturated market, vandalism of physical property due to instability of country, etc. So these are also cultural risks which we're gonna discuss. We discuss some operational risk. We discuss some political risk. Political risks are those risks which governance can affect the operations of a firm. The government might be corrupt, hostile, or totalitarianism, and may have a negative image around the globe. A firm's reputation can change if it operates in a country controlled by that type of government, and vice versa. We also discussed some things which are operational risk. A company that has to be conscious about the production cost and not waste time and money if the expenditures and costs are controlled. Okay, so these are the things which we're gonna discuss in the past. We already discussed technological risk. Technological improvements bring many benefits, but some disadvantages as well. Some of these factors include lack of security in electronic transactions, the cost of developing new technology, the factors that this new technology may fail, and vice versa. We also discuss environmental risk. Companies that establish a subsidiary or factor abroad need to be conscious about the externalization that will produce, as many may have negative effects such as noise or pollution. So which are the we can say this environmental risks. We already discussed economic risk, that there are some risks. These risks comes from the inability of a country to meet its financial obligations, the changing of market investments and domestic fiscal and monetary policies, and vice versa. We already discussed financial risk. According to we can say that this area is affected by the currency exchange, government flexibility in allowing the firms to repatriate profits or funds outside the country. We already discussed terrorism. Terrorism is a part in many religious countries, which are known as the religious terrorism. For example, Afghanistan, there is a religious terrorism, or vice versa. There are many, and nowadays in the United States, black and white. We can say that this is also a form of terrorism, which is a discrimination, a skin color discrimination, white and black. So this is also comes in the terrorism side, which is known as a prejudice. Okay. And vice versa. Bribery basically is also, which is the bribery, everybody knows this thing we're going to discuss. Bribery is a corruption, and bribery is the act of receiving or soliciting of any item or services of value to influence the actions of a party which with public and or legal obligations. Factors towards globalization. What are the factors towards globalization? Technological factors, government factors, institutional factors, consumers factors, competition, political factors, countries factors, costs, national cooperation and agreement factors, and vice versa. Importance of international business. Most companies are either international companies or compete with other international companies. The best way of conducting business and international and understanding helps one better career, and understanding helps one decide what governmental policies to support, modes of operations, and vice versa. So importance of language and cultural, we can say, these studies which we already discussed in the past, and a considerable advantage in international business is gained through the knowledgeable and use of language. These are the things which we kind of discussed in the past. So these are the things. This is the revision of all advanced international management, and I hope you learn this, you enjoy this learning, and it's a very essential and a beneficial learning for everybody. This is because of the coronavirus, the whole semester is online because of the COVID-19 pandemic problem in all over the world, and we pray to God that God will help us to finish this disease, and all the world must be prosperous and peace and prosperity in the whole world. Uh, we don't have any final exam, any physical face-to-face exam. We don't have any physical face-to-face exam. This semester is full online, and in the 15th week I also upload a 5 minutes video, 3 to 5 minutes video regarding to explain you your assignments. I am requesting again those students who have not submitted me their assignment, please submit it to me your assignments, and ignore this message who already submitted their assignments. I receive your assignments, those students who submitted to me, I will evaluate it and I will give you the gradings and vice versa. Okay, so I hope you learn this learning, and if you have any question, any ambiguity or any difficulty, you can send me an email. You can comment me in the comment section of YSU Cyber website, so I will give you the answer of this. And in the meanwhile, thank you very much, and to be continued towards the next week, which will be the final exam week. And in the next week I will make and upload a video which will just of 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, thank you very much. Till then, goodbye, and we continue. Goodbye.